Now there are 5 ways to look at hip rotation. When you do the, whether you're testing with a piece of tape on the finger, across the fingernail, and then on the power spot, to be able to determine whether or not the hips are square. So my core is disrupted. I have tape on around one fingernail, it can be any finger, not your thumb, and my power spot, which is the second pad up on any finger, I have it on my middle finger here, will square my hips. If I were to put that on any of the other two power spots, I should say, my hips would be open. So to be able to test it, I can look at my knee flex, I see they're even. If the right knee is out, I'm right-handed, my hips would be open. If my left knee is out, my hips would be closed. So looking at knees, using the bar, or I can let my arms drop. And when I look down at the height of my fist, they're the same height. Now if I take this tape off my fingernail, still have it on my power spot on my right hand. I'm taking it off, the tape off my fingernail. You'll notice how much my hips rotate. I can see that with a bar. I can see it with knee flex. I can let my arms drop, lean back, relax, and I can see my right hand is higher than my left, which means my hips are rotated. If you can see here, my hips are rotated. If my hips were rotated to the right, you'd see just the opposite. So you can test this. Just stand up. Arms have to be relaxed on your chest wall when you do this. Let them drop. So without controlling, just a slight, just a minor fist, not a tight fist, loose fist, and you can look at the difference in the height. Okay, and as I had knee flex, I don't see any change. If I had pressure to this fingertip, which was the same as the OK sign you saw in the last video, the last Zoom call. So those are 3 ways that I can determine. The 4th way, very simply, is have a balance mat. And you'll see, if you're using a balance mat, this is very important that you have a line, that your toes are on the same line on that balance mat, and they're even. For example, we use the Smart to Move system. We have a piece of tape, 1.5 inches, 2 inches back on each of those plates where the toes go. So if we have to see the toes there, we're going to see a line of force, a line of pressure that shows an open hip line. If one foot is back, we're getting distorted information. We want the toes on the same line so we can look at the line of pressure, line of force. Pressure is the application to the ground, and force is what we get out of that application. So you apply pressure to the ground and you get force out. Now, that's 4 ways. The 5th way, and probably the most telling for your student, I want you to see in this short video clip, takes 2 people. So this was during our training in Orlando this past January. This is Melissa from Baltusrol, who is a pro there, helping or learning how to do the right balance testing for dominant core zone and lower core. Okay, go ahead and swing it. Start down. Okay, let's move it up to the knuckle. You feel any power there?
A little bit more.
Yeah? Good. Start down. I say you may go. Yeah! Move it to the lower. That's how
too. I mean, she was gonna nail that drive.
That very well could. So the point is, remind your students, the greatest error I would see in students after showing them where the club needed to be, on the underside of the grip, Melissa's going to have to be right on that knuckle, mid-core. Okay? If they're not, they have no power. We're going to test that later.
My grip's down here.
Yeah, you're up. You'll get. You should get a half a club to a club. Okay, take it to the top. Start down. Let's go back down all the way. So before you test a student, always ask, do you have any neck, shoulder, back issues? You don't want to injure your students' eyes.
Hey, Doc.
Okay? Now we're back to upper core. Yep, that's where you want to be.
Doc, while you're doing this, it makes no difference where she picks up.
Now it doesn't matter where her feet are.
Don't make it do it.
Okay, take it to the top. We're back to upper core, right? Yep. Melissa's back in upper core. So you want to test this, you want to step under. Start down. Okay, now let's put it back to mid, which is right on that knuckle, Melissa. Start down. Yeah, you're mid. No question. So, simple test. If we take Melissa's tape off this finger, it doesn't work. Will not work. I should have told you. Yeah, go, I'll tell you what, take it off.
Take it off, try it.
I'm going to test you now. Now you still have it on mid-core, right? Okay, take it to the top. Start down. Doesn't work. This is the propagation of force. Now the lighting in that clip is not great, but you can still see what you have your student do is grip the lead thumb, and before you do, you always ask, do you have any neck issues, shoulder issues, back problems, arm, wrist, whatever. Make sure they don't have an injury that would preclude their participation. So you're going to have them swing to the top, and you're going to step under and just resist. And resist as much as you can. As you saw in that clip, I couldn't. If they're in their dominant zone, they'll have tremendous power compared to what they have when they're out of that zone. I say it's the most telling for the student because they will experience and see the difference in power simply based upon changes in placement of the tape or pressure on their dominant power spot. Move that to one of the other two power spots and they lose power. So those are the 5 ways to test for dominant core zone.